Hello and welcome to the KATH 910 a.m. interview of the week here on the Guadalupe Radio Network, broadcasting across North Texas today. Hope you are having a nice weekend. And I have a wonderful gentleman in studio with me who I have interviewed before. Today we're talking about a different topic. Last time I talked to him about the Bishop's Guild, and he is back to talk about something you may or may not be familiar with, and that is a wonderful group that is this year celebrating its 30th anniversary on a nationwide and international basis. It's called Legatus, and I have gotten to know Legatus pretty well through associations with a number of people. The word is Latin for ambassador, and my guest is Ed Gray. He is the president this year of the Fort Worth chapter of Legatus. Their website is fortworth.legatus.org. That's Legatus, fortworth.legatus.org. And if you've never heard of them, well, sit back and listen, and I think you're going to be impressed with what they're doing and how they're impacting the church. So, Ed, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Hi, Dave. Good to see you again.
All right, so like I said, many people don't know about Legatus. What is it other than meaning ambassador? Right. What is the purpose and maybe some of the history of it for these last 30 years?
Yes, the word does mean ambassador, and that's important to the mission of Legatus. It was started 30 years ago by Tom Monahan, the founder of Domino's, because he felt as a CEO of a major corporation that it was important for business leaders to not only be Catholic in their own personal lives, but to make it part of the businesses that they run and lead, or the segments of those businesses that they run or lead. So Tom started Legatus to welcome business leaders to learn more about their Catholic faith, to make their Catholic faith stronger, and to, in turn, positively impact their personal lives and their business lives as a result of that.
Tom's an amazing guy. You know, he like you mentioned, started the Domino's company. I think he sold it for about $1 trillion a number of years ago. He owned the Detroit Tigers at one time. In fact, won a World Series. He started the Ave Maria Law School, the Ave Maria City. But he mentioned one time, I heard him in a talk say that Legatus is what he's most proud of, and also what he's going to devote the rest of his life to. And so why do you think, and maybe you've probably met him and you perhaps have had some conversations with him, why do you think he's so resolute on this particular project? Why is it so important?
Well, going back 30 years, as he said many times, and I just alluded to, he felt like there was a absence of public faith and values in the leaders of businesses, and he wanted to be a way of starting that, loosening it up, making it available, making it something that people should function with. So he went to Rome in 1987 and had a meeting with Pope St. John Paul II and said, here's what I want to do. I want to start this organization for business leaders, for presidents, CEOs, not just of large multinational corporations, but of any company, so that they can learn more about their faith and feel more comfortable in living that faith openly in their business life. And he said, as you said, that this most proudest of starting that organization, now 30 years old with over 4,000 members and 70 chapters, but because he's having that impact. And he himself has said he's taken a millionaire's vow of poverty. It's one of his quotes, which is an interesting concept.
It's very ironic,
doesn't it? But I think it's about his pride in this organization and what it does to help evangelization for the faith.
It makes a lot of sense, because if a business CEO or a leader in a business has a big impact on a lot of people, in some cases thousands of people, if that person, that man or woman, can create a good environment, this is where people are spending 40, 50 hours of their week, and what influence and impact they have on the job makes a big difference in their life. So I can see why this is so very important. Now, This is just so people kind of get an idea of this, as you have alluded to, this isn't for everybody. This is kind of top-notch people in businesses. And so without, I guess, going into all the specifics, if somebody is interested to know if they qualify for Legatus, they can go to the website, and there's a little questionnaire to find out if they're eligible to be in Legatus. Is that right?
That's right. It's for business leaders of all size businesses, but there are certain criteria. I have a small business of my own, and it wouldn't qualify even though I'm a sole proprietor of that business because it wouldn't have the broad impact that Tom was wanting Legatus to have. So there are criteria for number of employees, for volume of business, and that kind of thing. Because when an executive or a business owner has the influence over that size business, they're always setting business mission, business vision, business values. And if that can be made part, or Catholic values and virtues can be made part of that, then that's the impact that Tom is trying to have.
Yeah. Now, it's one thing to be a member of this group. If the idea is to form these leaders to be, holier men and women in the workplace, how does that come about? Or are there meetings or retreats, or what's the process of developing these people or helping them?
Well, that's true. Those things you just mentioned are part of it. The basics are these. We meet once a month. And in those meetings, they're started with a rosary, reconciliation, and Catholic Mass. In Fort Worth, we do that most often at St. Patrick's Cathedral. And then we go from there to a social time, a dinner, and a speaker, a nationally renowned speaker, on many, many issues and topics of the day that affect Catholic lives and our everyday lives. So you get fellowship with other Catholics and an evangelization associated with that. You get an education because not only do you get it from talking to each other and other business leaders, but you get it from the speakers, and then you get an opportunity to discuss those particular topics in a much deeper way with everybody else. And through that, you grow a stronger faith, and you feel more comfortable in evangelizing that faith, we believe. And it's the speakers that draw people in because they realize they will get a broader education and strengthen their Catholic faith from that kind of national renown and educated speaker series.
Yeah, and Sandy Jensen, who is the media person, or she has been keeping me updated every year about all the speakers that are coming in, and normally it's about a year in advance. You have them all lined up, and boy, you've had some incredible people come in and speak to the group, which is wonderful. How would you say, from you personally, what impact you've been a member of Legatus since 2013, currently the president of Legatus Fort Worth. How has it helped you?
Well, in just the way I've said. Matter of fact, we did my story is not different from any other member, and we did a survey earlier this year of our membership, and we asked them, what made you join and why do you stay? And they said the same things, which is my answer to your question, is one, the speakers, two, the strength, the growing in knowledge in your Catholic faith, and the fellowship with other Catholics, so you can be better in evangelization of the faith. And that's what we got from our members as well, and they stay for the same reasons. You mentioned the speakers, too, and I'd like to make a couple of comments about that. There's so many outstanding speakers. Some that you've heard of, like Scott Hahn, Tim Staples, Lila Rose, Patrick Madrid, Edward Shree, Michael Koren, Tom Peterson of the Catholics Come Home. Locally, Jennifer Baugh of YCP, Young Catholic Professionals, and another guy you've probably heard of named Dave Palmer.
Oh, yeah, that name sounds very familiar. Yeah, it should anyways.
You spoke a few years ago. It was very good. And we've had religious people as well, bishops in the area, Bishop Olson, Bishop Van when he was still in Fort Worth, Bishop Farrell when he was in Dallas, although he just left. We've had priest panels. We've got Bishop Jacobs, who's the chaplain of Legatus nationally, coming in to speak next week. We've had Sisters of Mary. We've had Father Alan Hawkins of the Anglican Church.
Yeah, he used to be my pastor.
There you go.
Yeah.
Father Mark Haydu to talk to us about Vatican art, and also Father Leo, who's the cooking priest.
Oh,
you may be familiar with. So
he was our speaker last summer. Yes. Yeah, every single person you named, I'm very familiar with, and I've probably interviewed all of them at one point or the other.
Yeah,
and other than myself.
Well, you should interview yourself too.
So you mentioned Bishop Sam Jacobs, and before we came on, you talked. You gave a quote that he had given about the mission of the lay faithful, and of course, most people listening right now, including myself, don't qualify for Legatus, but that doesn't mean we get a pass, because all of us have an influence over, somebody, whether it be our kids or just, we all impact people. And so what, from a general standpoint, you think Bishop Sam Jacobs' message has been to Legatus, which I think kind of reverberates to all of us, the mission and responsibility of the lay faithful as Catholics?
I think it's a great quote, as you mentioned, and I'm glad you brought that back up. Again, Bishop Jacobs is the national chaplain for Legatus, and this is our 30th year. And there's a Legatus at 30 book that's out, and Bishop Jacobs wrote a letter. Within it is this quotation I've got. And Bishop Jacobs says, "The Church, in the teachings of the Second Vatican Council and of the recent popes, has reminded us all of the irreplaceable mission of the lay faithful in spreading the gospel in the world. Legatus and Catholic professionals living their faith play a crucial role in this work of the new evangelization." I think that states chapter 1 to the final chapter of any mission statement on Legatus, what it's all about. And to your point about whether you're a leader of a business that would make this criteria, or another lay Catholic whose leader is a Catholic, it's all about the new evangelization and the values and virtues of the Catholic faith. And if you're a leader, then you get to put those values and virtues in place and live them in your business, and everybody else gets to live under those values and see the benefit and the beauty of them, and the power that God's church places for us.
Ed Gray's my guest. He is the current president of the Legatus chapter in Fort Worth. They're celebrating their 10th anniversary this year. fortworth.legatus.org is the website. The national chapter is celebrating its 30th anniversary, and I never know if I should say national or international. Are there international chapters of Legatus? I'm guessing there are across the entire world.
Yes,
or do you know any of the statistics? How many continents you're on, or anything like that?
I don't know that. There's not 50 of them, but internationally. But there are a few. I don't really remember the details.
What about your role as president? Kind of day to day, week to week, kind of responsibilities. What do you have to do as president?
Well, I have to talk to you.
That's the tough part. These tough questions I'm asking, right?
I know.
So they say, go and talk to Dave Palmer once a year, and that's okay. So you got that one checked off.
Right. Now, as we said, Legatus is 30 years old. The Fort Worth chapter is 10 years old this year. And so we've had 5 presidents for 2-year terms over those 10 years, and my term just started. So my job is to, as with the other 5 presidents, is to share the leadership responsibilities of the Fort Worth chapter and continue to make it a going concern, to provide a speaker platform that the membership is interested in, to provide other things that the members are interested in and what they look forward to, which is the fellowship with other leaders, the education and sharing of their faith, which comes from every time we have a meeting. As I said, we have rosary, reconciliation, and a mass, which is a powerful way to start off any meeting, quite frankly. So we just want to have a continuing growing concern there. And in Fort Worth right now, we've got 28 couples, 56 people who are members of Fort Worth Legatus. We feel like Fort Worth will support maybe as many as twice that. So we're always looking for new people to be interested and curious about Legatus. Come visit us, and if you're so interested in and taken by the program as these 28 couples are, then we'd welcome you to apply and join.
All right, and the website again, fortworth.legatus.org, Legatus. And, there's a lot of people out there that may be in middle or management, and they may not qualify for Legatus. But I'm just wondering about some tips, because it's a real tricky balance when, maybe you're a fired up Catholic and you want to evangelize, and you can't, how do they go about it in a practical day-to-day standpoint? Being a good Catholic leader, it doesn't mean you gotta, be having apologetic sessions, during lunch breaks, or or making everybody put a picture of the Pope in their office, or because most people are working with Catholics and non-Catholics, maybe even atheists, and so from a practical day-to-day standpoint, what do leaders do to be Catholic in the workplace without being overbearing?
Well, and you said it, in the workplace, you deal with everybody.
Yeah.
And Catholics deal with everybody. And so does everybody of any other faith or even those with no faith. And you have to recognize that. And the way you do it, I think, is you be who you are. And if you have strong Catholic faith and values and you live them, then you're being that person. You're not necessarily there to convert anybody else, but people watch the leader and how they handle themselves and how they have their business operate. And if you see a leader who has their business operate and the values that they use are more about making money or taking advantage of a competitor or a customer, then that's not a good Catholic value. That's not a good human value for that matter. But if you have somebody who lives their faith, they're going to make decisions in their business. They're not only good for their business and the people in their business, but their customers and everybody in the industry and the community. And I think that's how you do it.
So 10th anniversary this year. Anything special going on that you guys are going to do to commemorate the 10th anniversary?
Well, we're having a big special anniversary dinner for our May meeting this year, which is May the 11th. And as I said, Bishop Jacobs is coming in. Bishop Olson will be there. We're going to have Bishop Jacobs speak. We're going to go through some of the history and some of the important moments and highlights of what's happened over the last 10 years and make some future decisions about where we're going to go in the next 10 years.
Right. So you'll be president one more year. It's a 2-year term, right?
Right, 2017,
and then you'll pass
2018.
it on to somebody else.
Right.
And again, website, fortworth.legatus.org. And if somebody does want to know if they qualify and they meet the requirements to be in Legatus, they go to that website, and then there's a form there to fill out or call somebody?
There's some information there, and there's also contact information. So you can contact me, you can contact Sandy or anybody else who's noted on the website contact information, and we'll be glad to talk to you about it.
All right, talking about Legatus, Ed Gray is my guest, president of Legatus, and has been for this year, and next year as well. What else, Ed, do you want to say about Legatus? I always like to ask that question at the end of an interview in case there's, I didn't exhaust all the questions, or anything else you want to tell people who are listening right now, whether they are eligible to be Legatus members or not?
I think we hit most of it. The criteria is the thing that is both the good news and the difficult hurdle for membership and for people to consider. So the key there, in addition to learning what the criteria is and if it fits to an individual, is if you're the highest ranking Catholic in your operation, then that can become a trump card for acceptance because you are the highest ranking Catholic in whatever job you have in that organization. So that can be enough to get you into the organization as a Catholic leader in Legatus.
Very good. And again, you said you've got 28 couples now. You'd like to double that. If that's you could.
But that we
probably
think,
have twice that
we
many.
think the Fort Worth diocese can handle that many. We're not interested in doubling next week, but we are interested in growing.
Well, after this interview, I don't know. You got a lot of people
listening.
We will. So, all right. Well, Ed, thanks so much for coming in. I know you're a busy guy, and appreciate you coming in. We'll do another interview about the Bishops Guild again sometime, or I think I'm going to be talking to Bishop Olson about that. A lot of good things going on in the Fort Worth Diocese, and that's why we do this show, is we like to introduce you to people and topics that you might otherwise never know about. And if you have something going on in your parish or your diocese or something that you think would be good to talk about in this show, I appreciate you emailing me and suggesting it. My email is davepalmer@grnonline.com, DAVEPALMER@grnonline.com. Ed, good to see you, and thanks again for coming in.
Thank you, Dave.
And thanks to Brittany Wiegand, our producer of this program. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend. And thank you for listening to the KTH 910 AM Interview of the Week. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Fort Worth chapter of Legatus. And just an FYI, during that interview, the incorrect website for the Legatus chapter of Fort Worth was given. I just wanted to let you know that if you're interested in learning about Legatus in Fort Worth, the correct website is legatus.org/chapter/Fort-Worth. And Legatus is spelled Legatus. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed the interview of the week.